Well, it is a good afternoon as we greet you and welcome you back to the coverage of the Ballito Pro, proudly presented by O'Neill. The day has settled, the dust slowly blowing away with that southerly wind. It is a good afternoon as we welcome you to the Ballito Pro post-show. Vic Celias alongside Kai Linda. It's been a fun day, Kai. And welcome back, Paul. We've steered this ship from 7:30 this morning, and a lot to break down, and a lot has come our way. We've been non-stop. It's been action. We've cut the round of 64.5 on the men's side. Lots to talk about there. And, of course, the women's, we've gone through 32 down to 16.
Yeah, it's been a full day of action, starting with those last few ladies' heats that we had to get done from round one. They scored some pretty sick conditions, and then the men's, sorry, that was yesterday. It's been a long day, it has been. But the men starting this morning, I mean, the waves were really good. I mean, you couldn't really ask for much more from a challenger event, and a really high level of surfing. We saw another brace of nines go flying out with big aerial maneuvers and some solid turns, so it was exciting.
Yeah, it's been the wind, really. It's been the great leveler today, isn't it? A tale of sort of two contrasts from this morning to this afternoon, and that's really impacted the scores, gigs. But you know what? It's Tuesday. You generally don't win one of these things on a Tuesday. That's more towards the weekend, so it's all about staying alive out here, whether you get through with, 2 nines or 2 sixes. Yeah,
look, the one thing with Ballito, it is being consistent. We know that every morning, Kai, you're a resident here. Those land breezes fill in. We see that classic action, real hollow, the stuff coming out of the morning. And then it gets a little bit grindy as we go through lunchtime, and certainly we have to squeeze those results out. And we did that. We've got some fair heat results in that. Let's go down and hear from Tasha Mentasti with the winner of that last heat to wrap up the day's action.
Congratulations, everyone. Not easy out there, especially last heat of the day. How do you feel watching those waves this morning, the conditions that we have had, and then preparing yourself mentally for what came this afternoon?
Yeah, the waves were really good this morning, and I was really excited, but I kind of knew by this time the waves kind of get really bad, so I went out yesterday just to prepare, and yeah, I'm really happy that I did.
Yeah, well, clever girl, worked in your favor, really starting to understand what Ballito is doing on these high tides and low tides. Is it the first time in Ballito and in South Africa?
Yes, this is my first time here, and yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
And just with the type of waves, the power in our waves here, does it feel a little bit like home or not?
Yeah, I definitely feel some similarities from here and home, so it's kind of comforting.
That's amazing. I'm so glad to see that we're going to see you in the next round. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Well, wonderful to see the young talent working their way through, not intimidated by the big names. Of course, this Challenger Series, guys, does get to take CT level surfing, mix it in with the juggernaut of new talent, which seems to be coming from all parts of the world right now, and puts it into this Challenger Series, mixes it all up, and we get all kinds of stories out of it.
Yeah, it's super exciting, and that young lady there has certainly been one of the standouts in the new crop of surfers coming into the Challenger Series. She's dominated both her heats now, and I'm really excited to see how she goes in the rest of the event.
Well, of course, we've got to pick out a couple of favourite heats from the day. We'll transition to women's round of 32, Heat 4. That was so much fun to watch, and a couple of great scores came out of this heat. Bella Kenworthy especially was in action, and Sophie McCulloch, they set the standard for the heat.
Yeah, it was an exciting heat to watch in the booth, and this young lady certainly, I think, is on a roll. Beautiful rail surfing, really clean, but Sophie as well, showing her championship tour pedigree.
Yeah, a lot of hype with Bella Kenworthy, and you can see exactly why on this kind of performance. She went late for the big win out here. Interesting to see Sophie, though, and how strong she was. And I do feel like on the women's side, there's a bit more of a gap between championship tour surfing and the challengers. I think men, it's a little bit closer. There's a bit more of a deeper talent pool. And interesting to see Bella Kenworthy getting the win late on in that heat. It was really entertaining.
Well, we got that heat done around the lunchtime mark, and you saw, already there were signs of that southerly wind in there. But still, Kenworthy and McCulloch managed to fetch some solid scores. They got into the double digits on that, and we were happy with the results of that. And, of course, again, that young talent just brimming there, having a challenge.
Yeah, and it is a challenge for them. They're coming up against surfers with so much experience who've been up against the best in the world, and they're bringing that back. But the nice thing is that they're also learning through that experience. They're learning how to compete at that level.
Well, of course, on the men's side, we have to pick a heat out to drill into. And how could we not pick the one with an almost perfect 10-pointer? There was much to take out of that men's round of 64. Heat 16, Joel Vaughan, Nat Young, Hirota Ahara, and Justin McCret went to battle in conditions that were really providing everything for us.
Yeah, Nat Young, half an excellent heat for him, really, going massive for a big 8, but really struggled to back it up. We know all about what he can do. His backhand is absolutely lethal. He's a cool customer as well, never really flustered, but we come up against a kid like this on an absolute tear. If he's feeling any pressure, he ain't showing it, and he is absolutely electrifying.
Yeah, I had to laugh because he went for the first air, and in the interview he spoke about it, and then said he went in for the second one, and he wasn't quite sure how he pulled it off because he had his eyes closed.
Well, we get to see some of the talent of Joel Vaughan. He brings his momentum here to Ballito, 9.83. We got to drill into that a couple of times, and the only thing that perhaps held it from a perfect 10, that 9.83 for the heat win, was just a little flex of the board on the landing. We'll talk more about that, but that was an official result, one of our picks for the day in the round of 64, heat 16, as we narrow the field down to men's 32 remaining. And it was great to see a combination again, scores coming out. I like the theme out of that heat as well, gentlemen. The big cracks for the 8-6 from Nat, and then the punt, that southerly wind had just come in, and we got Joel Vaughan to the air. So two different ways to approach the Ballito lineup.
Yeah, lots of ways to skin a cat, right? It's been a theme through the opening rounds of this one. Different ways of doing it. The tubes haven't been scoring real highs so far, but hey, wherever else you can take it. Speed, power, flow, obviously the monikers, but you go into the air and go big like Joel Vaughan did right there, and you're going to go excellent.
Well, it's the post-show, and we always like to pick out the top 5 moments of the day. So let's get stuck into that and have a look at things that blew us away from today, day 3 of competition at the Challenger Series stop in South Africa. And the first one that really impressed us was the consistency and professionalism of a person you wouldn't expect in the Challenger Series, Sally Fitzgibbon.
Yeah, but Sally's got all that pedigree behind her, and she just came into this heat and absolutely went for it. Didn't really give the other girls in this heat much of a chance and just showed her quality.
And of course, transitioning to the men's side a little earlier in the morning, Joel Vaughan, much expected from him in his professional career lying ahead. He got his work done for a couple of good 7s and 6s out of the lineup here, Paul.
Yeah, Cowley's such a good surfer. I tell you what, he's got loads more in the tank from what he showed us today, and I reckon he's pretty ominous for the later rounds.
Well, the morning was a theme of goofy footers attacking the lineup in combination. The judges had put out a message that they want strong combinations, and Jackson Bunch did an outstanding job in his heat win.
Well, I referred to him as the metronome because really he just would take off on every wave and just go absolutely into the lip, and certainly one of the standouts of the day.
Well, Paul, you got to call this heat. Nadia Aristaba from the north coast of Spain attacked the lineup on her back.
It's all clicking for Nadia right now. She can't really put a foot wrong in her heats. Even her throwaway scores are numbers that the other surfers in the heat would love to have. She's looking deadly.
Yep, absolutely. And how can this not be our number 1 pick? We got to call this heat a near perfect 10. That was a 9.83 and lofting to the air.
Eyes closed all the way through, but I think what really impressed me is, yes, okay, nearly a perfect 10 air, but he didn't sleep in the heat. He went and put in a 7.5, one of the other highest wave scores of the heat, to back it up. So Joel Vaughan, like, really looking deadly out in this Ballito lineup. I'm very impressed with him.
Yeah, we see some surfers, right, they come on the challenge, it takes them a couple of laps to get into it. I feel like Joel Vaughan doesn't feel like sticking around. He wants to go straight up and then put his name in those top 10 ratings.
Well, it's been a big day 3 of competition, as we mentioned, starting at 7:30 this morning. Now we move into the late afternoon. We've cut those fields in half. Of course, 32 men remaining in the draw, 16 women to challenge for those big points on offer here at the 3rd stop on the Challenger Series. We trust that you've enjoyed the show from Ballito, South Africa. On behalf of myself, Kai and Paul and the rest of the team, we'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get things underway real early.
This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.